Hi everyone, my name is Dave, and welcome to Extra Credit, a video series where we take an unscripted look at topics related to local history and exploring that history. All right, so as we normally do at the start of the episode, just a quick reminder to visit my website. You'll find a link in the description there. You'll find all kinds of information related to the topics we take a look at in this video series, and then some, including a section for extra credit. And so if you're new to extra credit, you haven't seen past episodes, or if you've missed some, or if you just want to go back and take a look at some, you're going to find a list there of all of the past episodes that we've done, and a little bit of a heads up into future episodes that we're going to be taking a look at. Additionally, you can follow me on social media. So you're going to find me on Facebook, you're going to find me on Twitter, or X, and you're going to find me on Instagram. And last but not least, if you haven't already done so, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. There's always a delay. There's a time frame between when things get posted on YouTube and then when they make it out onto social media. So if you subscribe, you're going to get that content much sooner. And there's a few little extras. I've started getting into doing things like shorts and things like that. So there's always a few little things that may not make it out onto social media, but if you subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, you'll get all of that information. All right, so we don't do very many of these, but I thought I would sort of delve into this. We've done a few episodes on Luna's just wanting to cuddle here and wanting to play. We've done a few episodes on GPS, and I wanted to sort of delve a little bit more into that because I've got myself a new GPS. Luna's just kind of being a little bit of pain here. You can see we're outside. That we've never done an episode at this time of the year, so it is October. It is Canadian Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. You can see it's a bit of a cloudy day today. Yesterday was very, very beautiful. It was nice. It was kind of partly sunny. Today's a little cloudier. We potentially might get just a touch of a little bit rain. It's been very, very dry, but we've had a beautiful fall, so it's great to it's great to get outside here and do an episode. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. So I did pick up myself a new GPS. It's something that I've been kind of humming and hawing about for a while, because the GPS that I had been using basically was very old. I'd had it for, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. It worked very, very well, but I figured maybe it was time to to upgrade the GPS. So I'm not going to get into everything. I'm not one of these professional reviewers, and we're gonna go into all of these, all of the little features of the GPS. I'm going to highlight a few things that I think are pertinent. Why did I get the GPS again? I thought it was important to sort of upgrade what I had. Another reason was the size of the GPS, which I'll talk a little bit about, and then also the satellite messaging feature. I kind of figured I'm getting a little bit older. Sometimes I'm going into places where there's kind of either no or kind of sketchy cell signal. Things do happen. And I thought, well, maybe, it's good to have that little feature. What's interesting now is I'm kind of humming and hawing about activating it. There's different plans. You can basically have it on all the time, or there's plans where you can just basically shut it on, turn it on and shut it off as you need it. Now, there's been some new upgrades. So for example, on my phone with iOS 18, you can potentially make emergency calls via satellite, and we've seen that in some of um, the natural disasters that have happened in the United States, where people have made emergency calls with their phone, even though there's no cell signal. So I'm going to have to kind of figure that one out a little bit. Okay, so let's get into the reasons why I got this, and the features that I like about this. The first one is the size. Now, I don't have my other GPS. I gave it to my son, so he has it. But basically, the this model. Okay, so again, this is the Garmin. It's a Garmin model. Okay, it's the GPSMap 67i. So it does come with the satellite messaging. It does come with a built-in topographic maps on it. You can basically see the size of it. It is quite large. Some people may not like that. I like it for a whole bunch of different reasons. So basically, in the size comparison, I could show you a picture here compared to the model that I was using, which was an eTrex model, so an eTrex 30. Basically, the screen on this is the same size as my eTrex 30. And so it's much, much larger. I find it great because I'm getting to an age now where it's harder to see things up close, which is kind of frustrating because I've worn glasses since I was 12, and I've needed glasses for distance. Now I'm getting to the point where I need progressives because I'm having a hard time seeing having a hard time seeing closer. And I found with even with this GPS, sometimes I have to kind of like, it's hard to see the little symbols on the map and things like that. And obviously, with a much smaller GPS, a smaller screen, it was a lot harder to see things. So certainly, the size makes a big difference. I do have a silicone shell that I put around there just to protect it. I do have a glass screen protector as well, to basically help protect it from the dings and the scratches and things like that. Again, it is fairly large. Compared to the other ones, and it might be, for some people, it might be a little bit more awkward to use, to carry around. Again, I'm not really concerned about that. It does have a little bit of weight to it um, compared to the eTrex model. But again, to me, the features outweigh all of those potential drawbacks to the GPS. Again, does have the attachment points. If I can say there's one little issue with it, so with the eTrex, I had the clip on the back, which basically would clip into the belt clip, and I have a tactical vest, and we did a review on that one, so I'll post a link to that. So it has the little piece that clips on here with the attachment point for the belt clip, and I have it on my tactical vest, so I can clip it on right about here. Now the problem is that the way that this is set up is that the eTrex on my bike, the holder was more like a kind of a cradle, and so I could put it in the cradle with the belt clip attachment on it. With this one, how you attach it onto the bike mount is basically with a spine mount, so it uses the same mount. So it's kind of a little bit frustrating that I can't do that, and it's not super secure, that bike mount. I know a fellow explorer, um, Rob Farrow. I didn't watch the episode, but I saw part of it where he basically he lost his GPS because I think he has a very similar model, and it popped off the mount. So that could potentially be a source of frustration for me. But again, I think the size is and the features with the size far outweigh any of the negatives. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about is the battery. So on my eTrex model, it basically used AA batteries, which was kind of an okay thing because obviously it was a negative in the sense that you obviously had to take the batteries out, you had to charge them. So I would use rechargeable batteries, and then sometimes they would die. But the good thing was that with them was that, basically you could carry spare alkaline or lithium batteries, pop those rechargeables out, put new batteries in, and then away you go. Right. So, you mean the rechargeable batteries didn't last as long, but certainly, there were options when it came to, when the unit would die. With this one, there's a built-in lithium battery, and I have to say that the battery life so far has been phenomenal. I got this in June, and I basically charged it up in June. I did at the beginning of July, I did a day long sort of driving sort of exploration where I had the GPS on all day long. I did another one in a few weeks after that, where again I had the GPS on all day long. I did another hike later in July where I had the GPS, and I did a few other things. And I did some hikes this fall. I just charged it this week, and it still had quite a bit of battery life. So the battery life on this unit is quite phenomenal. Again, I haven't kept a tally of exactly how many hours that I've used it. It just seems like it's weathered well to the amount of usage that I've put it through. And again, I charged it this week, and there were still a considerable. Maybe there's probably a third of the charge left on the battery. The only drawback is that it doesn't show you the percentage of the battery left. It just basically shows you a battery symbol, right? And it just basically shows you the a visual indication of how much battery is left. It would be nice if it was percentage. You can get a widget. There's apps and stuff that you can download to it. You can get a widget. I'm like, I want to go through all that process of getting a little widget and downloading it and putting it on the GPS and all that kind of fun stuff. I figured it is what it is, right? I can just see the visual indication, and when I see it's getting low, I can charge it up. So again, the battery life on this has been quite remarkable. Okay, so let's talk about the big thing that I really, really like about this GPS. It's accuracy. The accuracy on this unit is remarkable. So the eTrex that I was using before, basically you could essentially use two satellite systems. It would use GPS and it would use GLONASS, which is the Russian satellite system. I found it was okay. Basically, when you were kind of in a decent area, kind of good coverage, you would probably get 3 to 4 meters accuracy. If you kind of were in a big sort of open area where you had good view of the sky and you were moving kind of slow, you'd get like 2 meters, which was like, wow, that's pretty darn accurate, right? Because now you're in the 6 to 7 foot range. That's pretty amazing. This unit is unbelievable. It's basically got dual band as well. Basically, you can use GPS and Galileo, which is the European satellite network. They say that the more networks you use, right? So if you use dual band or whatever, it's basically going to affect your battery life. Well, to be honest, I don't really care because the accuracy on this is nothing short of unbelievable. Every time I've used it, basically it's very rare that it deviates from 1.8 meters accuracy. And that's out in the open, that's inside my house, that's inside deep forest cover, right? So I've extensively tested it. So those times that I was driving around, I had it inside my truck. For the most part, I was getting 1.8 meters. It didn't really change from that. I'm going to show you a few video clips here. So I took it on the hike I did at the end of July, where we were exploring part of the Grand Trunk Pacific in preparation for the full exploration, which hopefully we're going to be doing in a week or two. And one of the challenges I had with the eTrex is that when you would go down into like ravines and things like that, and that would really mess with the signal, right? And so I actually, I'll show you a picture, and then I did shoot some video where basically we were down in a ravine and I had the eTrex with me and it was showing me like 6, 7, 8 meters accuracy, and this was not deviating from 1.8 meters. Okay, so we're at the bottom of this washed out area here. You can see kind of the creek behind me, and I've got the two GPSs. And so you can see on the eTrex 30 that I'm getting an accuracy of 7 meters. And with the GPSMap 67i, this hasn't deviated the entire time. We've been at 1.8 meters throughout the entire journey. So we're getting that 6 foot accuracy the entire time. So now it's dropped to 8 meters. And again, the 67 unit is just holding steady at 1.8. So again, just quite amazing accuracy. And then I took it last week. I was in Minnesota. I was doing a hike associated with the Pigeon River Lumber Company, and again, I was visiting a location where there's very deep forest cover. And I remember when I was there with the eTrex, I was getting that 6 to 7, 5, 6, 7 meter accuracy. This thing was bang on at 1.8 meters, right? No deviation, right? Just and it doesn't really move from that, right? Like it's not like you see a bit of fluctuation. You might see that, but for the most part, if I'm staring at this GPS when I'm going, it's not moving from that 1.8 meters. So I'll show you that. I'll show you that video. Okay, so normally here we would be getting Very, very low reading, but we're getting 1.8. Very accurate. And again, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, are we doing things that require this sort of pinpoint type of accuracy? I mean, no, and we're not building structures and things like that. Obviously, you wouldn't be using one of these anyway, right? You'd be using a centimeter, very high tech centimeter accuracy type GPS to do those types of things. But again, when you're trying to more precisely locate things, it's going to be helpful when your unit is as accurate as possible, right? Let's fire it up here. The one nice thing as well is that I found that with the XXXVIII, um, there was a limitation on terms of how many files that I could put up. And here, right, like I could basically only upload one data file, right, with waypoints and things like that I would use for my hikes. With this one, the way that it's set up and the way that it interfaces with the computers, I can upload multiple files in the JPX format or the GPX format, and basically that way I can go to multiple things without having to, essentially change change the file in the GPS here. Um, of course, this thing's going to make me look silly now because now it's telling me 2 meters accuracy. I don't know. Oh, it's working its way down. 1.9. Let's see if she steadies up to 1.8. There we go. I don't know if you can see that on there. I got the 1.8 meter accuracy, right? So we're bang on. So this brings us to the next part, which is the features on the GPS. So again, if you've for people like me who have gone from an XXXVIII, where basically there is very limited interface, right? There was a toggle button on the top here, so there was basically like you could push it in, and it was like a multi-way toggle button, and then you basically had a couple buttons on the side, and then a couple buttons on this side, right? Like there was limited. It was frustrating when you were trying to do things, right? So for example, when I was trying to input information and things like that, this makes it really easy. So with the XXXVIII, I'd have to kind of push and hold the little button here, and it would give me the opportunity to mark a waypoint. Here I just hit the mark button, right? And then this toggle button here makes it really easy to scroll through the menu, right? It has the enter button, right, where I can enter things. Everything's not dependent on this little toggle button. And I would find after a while it because I had more than one of them, right? It would basically wear out, and then it wouldn't respond properly because you're just doing so much with that little toggle button. And so there's just so much more that is possible to do on here, right? So right now I'm in the map screen, right? And so I can go to the main menu, and you can basically set up. You can customize this menu, right? So I have the maps, I have the waypoint managers, I have the satellites, right? So it can show you all the satellites that it's tracking, right? The trip computer, the setup, right? And there's all kinds of other functions on here that I don't really use a lot. Okay, like I said, I haven't set up the satellite messenger, and I'm kind of on the fence about that right now. Right, but I do certainly use the map. I use the trip computer, and obviously there's might be some setup things that might be happening. I don't use the satellite screen as much because basically this thing is pretty darn accurate, and I'm not really looking at the satellite tracking as much as I would have in the past. Basically, for the most part, I'm on that map screen. The built-in maps that this thing comes with are quite remarkable. Um, I have I have two computers, basically my PC computer, which I basically kept because my XXXVIII, I needed that to work the waypoints and stuff, because the software that I had with the maps on it is PC only, so it doesn't go onto my Mac. And so I kept that around, and the map software that I have compared to this one is way behind. like I'm shocked that on this particular software, it shows me, like, for example, old railway lines. So it shows me things like the Port Arthur, Duluth, and Western. It basically shows its route on there. It shows the Grand Trunk Pacific. It shows, and the Grand Trunk Pacific, it actually shows the parts where it was used as a road, right? And it shows some of the older parts that have been abandoned for 100 years, right? So, the areas around Thunder Bay, that section that was abandoned between, in 1925, that basically goes from Fort William up to Conmy Junction, right? Which is quite amazing that it shows you that on the map. It shows you the Kinghorn, right? So I'm just impressed at all of these old sort of railway lines that appear on the software, and there's flexibility in terms of what you can upload here. So basically, I have the full upload. It's a pretty big file, but basically, I have all the maps of pretty much Canada and the United States. And so, like for example, when I went down to Minnesota, there was no sort of switching of maps and things like that, right? It was all preloaded in there. Just make sure I have my waypoints and basically ready to go. Again, the interface with the computer, I can plug this into my Mac, I can plug this into my PC, I can get all the data off of there, which is quite remarkable. Here comes the dog with her toy, right? She wants to play. And of course, she won't give me the toy. In any case, basically this wraps up our review. The only if there was one thing that I wish was a little different, the power button I'm not overly fond of. I just find it, it was not easy to work with. The dog, go get it, Loon. It was not easy to work with prior to putting the little case on here, the little silicone wrap, and now it's a little bit more challenging to turn it off and on. But again, that's just a minor thing. I do worry about it long term, because I'm like, this is button gonna like wear out eventually, just because it's so hard to push, and you're kind of pushing on it, reefing on it a little bit more than you normally would, right? Um, leave it. Fun times with dogs. In any case, so hopefully you found this review useful. Certainly, GPSs have really revolutionized the way that we do things. I think in the previous GPS episode, I talked about how I would do things in the past, and right, and you're looking at maps and you're trying to figure things out, right? And you're trying to mark points on maps and things like that by hand, right? Doing it very, very old school, as the kids would say. But certainly these have changed things, and the technology keeps advancing all the time, right? So this is one of the latest models from Garmin, and I'm sure there's going to be more advanced models coming out in the future. Hopefully this lasts me as long as the previous model did, and is as robust and as useful as my eTrex model was. And if that is the case, certainly it will help me out in the future. And I'm curious to see how the technology is going to evolve down the road in terms of in terms of the accuracy. Is it going to get more accurate, right? Is, something like 1.8 meters the limit, right? Again, there's all kinds of other considerations that they're worrying about. But I can remember back when, we first got GPSs, and I remember when I first started teaching, taking home, some of the early models, and, they were like 100 meters accuracy, right? And there was just this little screen with a latitude and longitude on it, right? And so just very, very basic interface. And then you have something like this where you have these super detailed maps, and the amount of information that you have available to you is quite remarkable. In any case, it's time to wrap things up, lest I talk too long. It is getting a little chillier out here, just sort of sitting here. Maybe eventually the sun will poke out. I don't know if we'll get the rain or if we'll get some sun, but hopefully it'll warm up. So in any case, we will be back next month with another episode. We've got a lot of things on tap. I've been recording a lot of things, a lot of outdoor ones, a lot of outdoor segments, and then basically we just basically have to put together the little talking parts to introduce them. And so we have a lot of episodes ready to go, and so that's going to carry us through for quite a while coming up in the future. So in any case, thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for that next episode coming up next month. In any case, take care and stay safe.